in your submission.
Exactly.
If that's what you're saying.
So if Mr. politics here na high. Emotions are na high. But you see, there are two types of writs. Mr. President's writs no a tool. One, seeking an interpretation of the bill. Two, seeking an injunction. Mr. Speaker writs no as a March 20 talk no a one, seeking an interpretation on why the ministers who have been revoked should be vetted. There was no injunction stopping them. Honorable Nelson Defiamepo case, no, it has got nothing to do with the deputy ministers who have been vetted, and they will be presented to Parliament for approval. It has got to do with the particular ministers that let us not see their appointments have been revoked. No? Why now do you now extend it to even those who that residents follow them?
And say Onusu is operating within the permit of his powers. Onusu trained it to me.
Has it gotten to that?
Well,
say will be untrained it to me. Now will train it to me. Why don't you limit it to the exact prayer? Honorable Dafia Mekobisa course no say executive see we are revoking your appointment. In see revoke we can't just assign it to the next ministry. Let us vet them. Limit it to that. What about the deputy ministers? They are not part of the substantive writs. That you are saying that, okay, then we fall close. We are not concerned with the vetting again. Adjourn synod. Oh, miss. Should we get here?
From Parliament, no. A whole shisha no. Emrana ye no. Some of the clauses, when I have first why shisha mrani bi, a hunsun sansuo, and komo, and yedi. And yes, say MPP for can say, there be emrana ye sheno. No, ye de pesi a jip gatum. No, a whole shisha ye. A who are seven, and ye can work Parliament. Ebini saying, Miss G, me follow proceedings kakra. The day I pass him Rano Krampono, they were still doing amendments to the law. To the bill, sorry. Bill no, and who amendments ne bebre wo ha, and yet MPP for ne deba you. NDC for, and so etimi raise concerns about bill ne wo hono, and many be NDC for a raise be. MPP Rezibia, hey, Yana.
Who to your light?
Baby,
come here, President.
MPP, Rezi concern Bia. You see, hey, na but NDC for Rezi be obiante.
Na but at the
village one dam, or your size. O two pot the soup was wide dam. Or your size of that, or can so be circus. Eh to the politics muti asem na muti ne tra na mukọ waye dam no waye one more size okọ into tokuro nso nim enye dam no waye say na politicians ne kasa no omunim nipa na adwen to omu di wadwen ho agro LGBT asem aye kan mo maye move on nkope bibi foforo ye yen use a natural canal knowledge na yen keep e no a criminal code no mu Bema kofa bema na se without the consent yes you be prison for this with the consent or be prison for this yenje no anto ho na samra na be hye no on sign and as Akuffo Addo an sign onwe de bi ankofo yes Akuffo Addo sign Akuffo Addo fi power enne na ochina aban foforo take over just am yellow can be MPP for na take etwaso but say aban no sesa no be for NDC for omoba power ochina obaka bizom say na Akuffo Addo ho na mo push ne say on sign a bill no na mo be mo yen ntame say Akuffo Addo the ink bi twa ade bi mo ye hu ni ye otwam ni ye hu ewon ye hu ni ye just say the Parliament no mo sign kire ho no mu on be fine away politicians are no musubati
like you know what's the mama yeah yenya radio so akwenya ye kasan me pamacho the least we can do is to at least read and be informed
no mo kan no
before we go no communication no you have to state the facts bare na ni pantas because obi wa onya da je nko kan say dey bia ye what about the interpretation no interpretation say and say so which o kan trasa obi abe making it by yen kan de onipa na ye de aka ni yen fan bon common mpacho de make notice say ye say ye share say I feel said the cost no because we have these arms of government, the legislature, the judiciary, executive. Who they say the media crab account. Arnold mentioned that all these arms of government are supposed to work in hand. I was so obia respecting obia na yetumi ebumai. But that's not what we see, and ultimately, this is unhealthy. At the end of the day, yena ya wasi and yena ya bro.
Whenever I say my PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo
is alone. The judiciary is on its own and legislation so in its own. Now I say on who say ya practice wa Ghana da. Now last week muna we who ni fili say legislature to me the letter call executive home executive ka say that letter we mean sign me receive it. Now legislature so aka say also what juma o see yenye mount afi de obi a edge trend to me e ka say last week, he said the president issued statement through his secretary. I can say LGBTQ plus assembly no person betting who should be because assembly or courts in the assembly we more be and show letter be and brand and more be and bill be and brand and say on append the signature to it. And as Speaker of Parliament also say okay. Say share ho yes accentuation of the bill na unfa signature and two bill no so dia yes so adwuma odi ama say yen vet ministers yes so ye putting on hold yes so ye approve ministers na ya vet omo no na che say bibia aba stand still e be ka say atika and I nkofo bisa say how did we get here ampa separation of powers and I say in the coming days ni anhwe ya nyoma be ko atia ye Nitiatia any sa question for bisa. So Chris, me no never start. We will say na wanu see but me no will start to on this issue.
As I know they take you by surprise.
Well, Miss Jean, sir.
Oh, Kasembi.
Oh, also.
No, Mr. Kasa.
Okay, yeah.
And now person who make a cry.
No. And yeah, no. There's no me say because that's why I'm because
You Martin.
Yeah. Miss Jane, sa LGBT asemo mitie nia public no ka nia politicians no ebetina radio so a omu discuss eni nia transpire in Parliament in Swa, me who 3 different angles. Lines.
Okay.
Yes, angles. Nia public no yete. Eni nia ye kan se nia ye kan no. Nia politicians nia ba media e ba be discuss no se nia omo kan no. Eni nia wo parliament a ye bobu no so no. Se nia ye kan no so no. Ni nyina e different. Mitie public na nia ye kan se ena MPP for na omo pese ye gi gay tum ni empene ni MPP for ni omo pese gay then we see the politicians also come on TV no so omo be discuss half and half then we go to parliament then we hear the actual conversation ekoso wo nyametibi say it's all about a law and yes yenye gay Trumu say the issue about gayism or maimu senya ye kura ehun nsem ehun mra ene ye hye both parties menti say MPP ni bia ka say opesi ya gay Trumu wo Ghana ene menti say NDC ni bia nso e ka say opesi ya gay Trumu wo Ghana minti obia say Ghana yempe na niametie from parliament no eye ehun hyehyeye no emra na ye no some of the clauses kwan a ye fa so a ye hyehye mra ne bi ehun sunsanso enkomo ene ye di enye se MPP for ka say there be emra na ye hye no ye de pese ye gatum no ehun hyehye ehun asem ene ye kan wo parliament ebi ne saying Miss Jean me follow proceedings kakra the day I pass emra no krampo no they were still doing amendments to the law to the bill sorry bill no ehun amendments ne bebree wo ho a enye MPP for ne de ba yo NDC for enso etimi raise concerns about bill na wo ho no enye mani bi NDC for raise bi MPP raise bi a hey yana
who to your light
baby
come here plus the lady action
MPP raise concern bi a yes hey na model but NDC for raise bi the obi ante
na but at the end of the day
concerns be about
but at the end of the day no at the end of the day enya two ni na na consent to bill no
yes but nya me chese utie me sense nsem na emiensa se na ekono no ne ba public na be discuss no ye mani look like MPP for ewo issue about the bill no say e bi omo pesi gayism ne bagana sa na ye ka no but is that the case? It is not true. They are all saying say we don't want it in Ghana. Nemo ya shishamra. O shishamra no one shishen here. Etimi koka an innocent person be or ti baby. Example, more example be. You say cross dressing. What is cross dressing?
To me share Bema Niema about to me dress it say Bema to me dress it so
into say no into your shamra say there should be no cross dressing
no ent me share trouser
good
say anka ya oti ho say anka cross dressing
me share trouser
asa o share jumpsuit trouser never down
one hwe yi a samra no o hye no one hye ni yi a ebetimi obi betimi yusu wrongly idiot you obi on any wasem because who be pay you shall shirt come out there see jeans so we better say cross dressing because you only say be there but be I need the actual intention no enye nia o she the shirt and trouser enti see yemra ye tro no yie and you can see some of the amendments no more dey ban which are so useful because you resist these concerns and then they discuss it. Some of the wordings are tweeted in a way na correct ba and na me see sometimes NPP for now they are raising a whole lot of issues say no idea we the one who is promoting it in the one intention the emotional attachment to it but that is why sometimes when you say we a lawyer and as we a doctor yes men treat you because of that emotional attachment there has been a lot of consultations mitie some judge obo attorney general baso about amendments bi obebo omokro omo ye initially they thought say he was against it but obaye no more bo omo ye some of the amendments and I think that is where we are. There is one aspect of it, imprisonment of these gays. It's so funny to me. Jagapi madam for pa. Many Jagapi start menen wo ho ansa no nya asem akọ that jail. Ye no me ho na ye wo we are like brothers many Jagapi. Ye bon komo no aka ensem a ne me koso wo jail. O si hwe enkwara ni bi wo ho okom nti no ye ni omoda me ma ni bi ni omoda mpenifo eni omoda no ma mo bi anye. Oh, I wasn't there.
No, he said.
Yeah, Oba Halifax.
Okay.
Reason and people share the experiences.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm not surprised.
Okay.
It's true.
Okay. Now, sadie we nso no. Me do ko Bible mu a Nyankopon bo wiase no. wa ma nipa so yenwe nam enam se aboa yekuno no ne yenwe nam na ebo no after Noah's ark ye free omu free bae no there was no vegetation en Nyankopon kire om say munkum wa ne bi muntwom no mfa moja ne ngu fam munni nam no but moja ne de munni. It was supposed to be something temporary, but ye wi ya ye hu say ye de ne ka ye ho eniema bi wo ho a obi di aho kire ekoso hwa no waka. You are going to send these sebi gays into jail. What are you going to do there? You are going to promote and recruit more people, innocent people, because on one some of them no now you go and put these people, a bunch of them, into this place, and at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Nya person stop no. Obi wo ha okoshe ho be 6 months. Wako testi. Wezu akoho 1 year, 2 years. Omo be free aba no. It becomes their habit now. They went in as straight people. You go and mix them with this, and then they come out as more gays. And the more people come out, the more we are spreading this attitude. So it makes some sense to me. Say, why don't they amend the law in a way that the bill, they will even get a separate correctional center or a different system to handle such people?
Uji separate correctional center. Na say 2 of us are yeni ekupi or say ekotoaso.
Yeah, but there is no incarceration there. There is no incarceration at separate correctional center.
They say crap on prisons. You see in prisons, free. What am I saying? It's a correctional center. People who have committed some crimes, and then also we are even looking at certain custodial sentences. Crampoa. Wouldn't say driver who pass through red light in the name of some of these and near you to say cells. You coach cock to me beside guilty or not guilty. Who say not guilty 2 weeks come cobra ni wasem. A bit me at you 2 weeks or say pacho I'm guilty with your fine mamenko. And we are pushing for non-custodial sentences even in Ghana. It's in yan 2 year boys in yan shemrani ye. Ni yan kwanko pepre hu yan fa ebufuo ni mojahyew anko yemre bia ye bewie no. Ni innocent people na mradi mo wako creating more problems amayen. There is emrebia ene obia eka even in our governance. You see majority of ministers should come from parliament. Ene utia omo munim governance ni muni niema they are criticizing it. But it came from somewhere. BBC here during the Third Republic. And the man Fourth Republic, constitution, but Mojashio the free Third Republic, no. Yantu Yabuasi, the Abeshi Samra we, you operating Kakran, who said, hey, no. And you know, there are so many examples of maybe Yashisha based on mistake be happening some time back. Yatu Yabuasia, in Kabeti me who baby. Quite from Kaiba Faso, near their correct is a mistake now, is seen in the past, no. But yet the Mojashio near their co-passing Embrano in a way. Ubehununa creating more problems. But more example, this custodial sentence. In Nipadu Duakwa, gay school Bekoho, ne, sa gay for me smart. Do you know what they will do? CSA 3 years. I bet you how smart they are. They will promote a lot of people to go into the cells. They will push a lot of their people into the cells to go and
new members.
Convert.
Get more disciples.
Yeah, get more disciples. They can easily do it. They will get, and that is what, when I listen to the other side, they are saying, say, look, this law, we all want it.
Which is the other side?
MPP side, no. we all want it. NDC for so bebre so issues with the law.
I listen to
there is still a problem. And only a created fabric men farm no.
Court no.
Me pacho niema court ni bemu ni niema ne say there is still some issues. The law itself no.
Yes. Okay.
But obi happen so say yemfa mra. Emra ne nkyere se yemagi gay ntumu. No. Emra ne nkyere se yemagi ntumu. Obi a se ase se yenhye mra ye de be prevent. But me enhye mra ne in a way say Ebeko creating more problems. Am I young?
Okay.
That is it.
Halifax.
Yeah. Well, Miss G, it's a whole lot. Where do I even take it from? Let me take it from OC separation of powers, Mr. Speaker, and Mr. President, and then we come to the matter proper, right? Okay. Nyabotreo. All the same way. Emotions. Politics, any hypocrisy are cloud the substance of the matter. I think plus ignorance. Of course. Ignorance because yemu bibrea yet radio so yet TV so enyina but yemu bibrea Miss G yen kind bill chrono. The exact bill about the contentious issue. Someone say, have you read the bill? Do you know what is in do you know what is in the bill? Like I say, oh, Davy. But yati say, ebi musi yo, yenji trumu tum. Enna. But what should I call the place? I mean, ebi musi si, my yenji tum. But that is not the issue. Sana menu anokaya. As a society, yen to me, jin tum say, a man should marry a man or a woman should marry a woman. How would you do it? Or I get up one day, I'm from Kumasi, I meet a tree, and I say I'm in love with a tree. In Zimbabwe, worry tree. No. So if I fall in love with a tree as Kumasi, say tree no yamijiri. Mejano oho. Ana senso toa.
Say bimu ye nti e bia obehwese na omuso ye omude na omuso de aye odi.
Obetu abefi.
I put to be fear tree no ebewu. Nti na majam yiri wa e bia dodo wa kwan yeso. Na majam na obia it wouldn't happen that way.
They're
going to be ordained. What is in parliament now? It is to criminalize LGBT. There is nothing like should we legitimize, should we legalize? No. Nobody has gone to parliament. Say, we are putting a bill, say, yenji tum. And I debate, say, yenji anama yenji. No. Omunyena say, my yenji tum. We do not accept it. But, sa non-acceptance, no, how do we handle it? That is the whole difference. Into a koye by, bill almost start saying, Obia so some beka bill we asem. Because who ko kape on beka say oji trumu. Now more modi trumu no crap almost ro say on be atum so modi trumu.
So many legal backing bia and see omo train say bia mra be mo kwan ama omo timi aba vocally abeka say
legal backing no there nobody is even asking for it. That is my argument. But even if there were something like that, Nipa be still to me Beijing tum say, okay, there is legal backing, ye did room because of the way our society is. Okay, so what I mean is that say very politics, emotions, hypocrisy, any ignorance, would all have a better bill that will protect true Ghanaian family values. For instance, say enye sa mayenya botre mayenhwe bu mu yanka omo apase dadada. No mo passing in those days that bill they were going to pass was even against things like dildo, vibrator. Into the bemani oba ewo dem. And now using vibrator. Say enche won't.
Na one ebe hu.
Well, maybe even where to go and buy it would have become a problem. It is the same engagement. But make I say, Honorable Member of Parliament for Ablekuma West, Honorable is also Kaya, members of Parliament did not attempt search is a lesbian. Is that fair? Because of that, there might be one yansa, or some knowledge to contribute for us to better protect our values now. Obiasro. Even on the day the bill was passed, articles eventually Omo said the mamino kind nyansa woman to me free. On the day the bill was passed, that day, the proponents of the bill, led by Honorable Sam Jata George and Co., they were still making additions and amendments. Say clauses 10 and 11. Yen fan can say subject to the provisions of the Constitution. Say. Less than 2 minutes before it was passed. What am I saying? I'm saying, look, yen for politics, any hypocrisy nintun chain. Na yen share dear what bill must say. Say na ya dia tum say men ma be man worry be ma men wo ba worry oba men ma a friend was saying nipa worry dua. Kwan ben na yen faso. The Omar Passy, even me, I have a problem with portions of that bill. Miss DT, almost say my in the room. Please stop this. Okay? Nenso, our bill career women say Bema di oba Trumu die, no problem. Trumu bi anya Trumu. Say ya yarianti na my in the Trumu, then every Trumu should be banned.
Everyone?
If it is medically wrong, say, would you say Trumu? Well, I'm sorry, then let's speak English because because you know. Oh my God. What is this thing is doing in the studios today? Then let's speak English because that is where I'm better.
You speak your truth.
We cannot have a society that will say that LGBT people, because of anal sex, are spreading a particular type of infection. So we should ban anal sex. However, the bill allows anal sex between opposite sexes.
Which part of the bill? Because
well, I might have to scroll up and read it.
I thought okay, one of the things ni wo preach or ana asema ewo constitution a plus bit me abwa is that even having a natural canal knowledge of somebody
who decides what is natural and what is not.
We know that
for the purposes of this section, sexual intercourse occurs when penetrates the. It's not a bill. I mean, it's
no. So for a purpose of education,
I will get it for you.
Okay, because
I'll get it for you.
You can't have a natural canal knowledge of somebody because, and then that means that you cannot go through the behind of the person. It's already established
this was what brought it. The issue about oral sex. Time I'm more promulgated bill and say so we see my bear money oral sex. I mean me years way. And then they said, okay, when you read about me oral sex, then they say, but that is unnatural. And then they said, okay, then unnatural canal knowledge, as for opposite sexes, we are permitted. But same sexes, they are not permitted.
In this family
it is
bill.
There in black and white.
Okay.
And Ghanaians wouldn't bother to go and read and say that, anyway, you can't tell me as a journalist, okay, say, I do not have the right to interview anybody on his or her sexuality. Now, on my opinion, say me, your friend me, Andrew Solomon. I am a friend of the former president. I am gay and I have nothing wrong with being gay. And I think it is good. By this law, once I do this, may the platform promoting LGBT, I get arrested and jailed. Because this thing I see yen penno, quite ben so na yen far my yen jintum. Koke omo pass ye. Nipa that they crash how come more parliament so mean jin is modo 50. But it is allowed anyway. And then be modi court say oh mra there are portions of it. I mean ye too ma enye. Yenina ya jatum sema bema wari bema ma oba wari oba ma ne pan wari dua memfa nko nkwada so ne amaniama eti ha but sena mo crafting mra no some portions wo ho a ebe ha yenina to say African cross dressing. Don't we watch kids on Facebook these days where TikTok by their character now they just dress according as the opposite sex. Where I come from, during Homowo and Pashimo and Jamashimo, it is very normal to find women dressing as men dressing as soldiers, as a nurse, as into Sebema question nurse atadia. Doesn't that count under cross dressing? I the C Jama, I the G. When you say, oh, affection, at what point? It is a mini Socrate now. Stop this. Mini Socrate Nancy. Okay. Midiminsa to Ninkoa. I mean, how do we define some of these things? Into sky they call court. Others they are called that a certain Madame Odwe they are called a certain I believe it's Henry Tete or Koju Tete they are called court. Said, oh my lord, Miss Remo, below my passy. Or my jumu. First, somebody call courts for injunction. Of course, no bugger say they've not finished there. We cannot stop them. Because yes, sign a pair. Eba be yemra. E yemra de be yejuma. E de yejuma e be ha yebimu. As journalists, as several other people, but still jitum sema bema worry bema. My lord, men ma president in sign this here because or sign here e be affect ye answer now be unsigning. We serve the president, I serve the parliament, and somebody say, yep, injunction cry, ebe can say until court no bet some kruna ma be unsigning. It was said on them, and that was why the president's secretary, which any first time a president secretary I tried to call parliaments near. Trauma, Mr. Speaker, said because of application for injunction, I'm not a lawyer, but I know says be served with application for injunction, and there is proof of service. It will be contemptuous if you go ahead and act, even before the hearing of the injunction. Mr. Speaker, I'm about to you are receiving injunction B. In Tiakasa bill, no mamun farm bansa. You can't say you sign it. But the executive should respect the judiciary. Just like how you want the executive should respect the legislature. Into mamun farm bansa. Yen injunction assembly, ye namun farm bra. This is what angered Mr. Speaker. Say the executive in Nitomi, some back country parliament, the Omunye. What did Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker said, okay, says, Sadia, Miss was Mr. Speaker. Neso, my receiving writs be every court. Say ministers are with the buyer no. Ebimu the court say my invite you because I mean ministries some revoke black. I mean, say, look, ABC, look, because you see, I revoke my appointment, no. They are revoke, no. Say, you invest you. Mr. Speaker, see, because of that writ, that court, no, or no, so until Ejman also be. Miss G, if you are saying that the president is wrong, in saying that the application for a writ stopped him from continuing, how can you say that you are right, that application for a writ stopped him from continuing your version of the ministers? Did you get that point where I should explain it well? Papa no see, Mr. Speaker, the president is wrong in relying on an application for an injunction to say that because of application for an injunction, don't proceed with this bill matamamufamba. Okay, that is it, that the president is wrong. If the president is wrong, then the speaker is equally wrong in saying that because of Honorable Nelson Dafia Mepo's writ before the court, he will not continue with the vetting of the ministers.
I say, you're wrong. In your submission,
exactly.
If that's what you're saying,
so if Mr. politics here, emotions are high. But you see, there are two types of writs. Mr. President's writs no two. One, seeking an interpretation of the bill. Two, seeking an injunction. Mr. Speaker, writs no as a March 20 talk no one, seeking an interpretation on why the ministers who have been revoked should be vetted. There was no injunction stopping them. Honorable Nelson Dafia Mepo case, no, it has got nothing to do with the deputy ministers who have been vetted, and they will be presented to Parliament for approval. it has got to do with the particular ministers that let her not see their appointments have been revoked. Why now do you now extend it to even those who that resident follow them?
And say Onusu is operating within the permit of his powers, isn't he? Onusu trained it to me.
Has it gotten to that?
Well,
say Obi and train it to me. Now who train it to me? Why don't you limit it to the exact prayer? Honorable Dafia Mekobisa course no say executive see we are revoking your appointment. In say revoke, we can't just assign it to the next ministry. Let us vet them. Limit it to that. What about the deputy ministers? They are not part of the substantive writ. That you are saying that, okay, then we fall close. We are not concerned with the vetting again. Adjourn synod. Oh, mystery. Should we get here? In summary, I blame governments because as some way start here, they were all afraid to come and communicate. Say me patrol. It's not about whether you're engine tum and I'm my engine tum, but they were all afraid. And the whole narrative I've heard on many radio stations, they say, Nana do see yenji trumu tum. That is why he doesn't want to sign the bill. On casa, unless anybody can bring me evidence, say Nana do akasa. What I know he has said is that same-sex marriage will not happen under his presidency. He told the clergy in this country. And saying that yenhwe bill nije na yen polish one or two aspects, just as the proponent of the bill polished on the very day the bill was passed, no, doesn't mean somebody is accepting gay marriages in this country. I wish say ankomonya abotfre na yenye more contributions to this bill. Na yen polishing nije, just as how a lot of contributions have been made. It has become a better bill than what it was before all these contributions were made. I wish to say the politics no ye free na yenhwe bill no ye. I wish say my colleague journalists who are discussing this bill will go and even read what is in it and be informed rather than use emotion because of our upbringing. When we went to church, we didn't go to church. Until we get proper knowledge on this thing, sweetheart, you know, baby, it will be MPP versus NDC. It will be pure emotional talk based on ignorance. These are my initial submission on this matter. Initial.
Obia press initial.
But you got my point. That was my point.
Your friend is unnatural canal knowledge, you know.
But me pacho no. Me pacho so bet me up. What's your resting person portion in my
on
I
the
want to project it on the screen, yeah, so that it will be able.
On natural canal knowledge, I was section 104 our criminal code.
Okay.
Na section 104 no. What is natural and what is unnatural. And even that embrano, there's a part a punishable, a misdemeanor, and a baby a felony. So, okay, section 104 now. As one, or say whoever has unnatural carnal knowledge, A, of a person of the age of 16 or over without his consent consent shall be guilty of a first-degree felony and shall be liable on conviction to imprisonment for a term of not less than 5 years and not more than 25 years. Munteni you, and Pacho Obia Ofia be also person will check and natural canal knowledge, you know, for criminal code now it was section 104. Or say whoever has unnatural carnal knowledge of a person of the age of 16 years or over without his consent shall be guilty of a first-degree felony and shall be liable on conviction to imprisonment for a term of not less than 5 years and not more than. It is we are there without nippon consent,
which is rape.
That's rape,
which is rape. Like we could rape Obi. Maybe I know the rape Socrate.
Which is possible.
Yes.
Did you?
Oh, are you? To be like about to be the crime too.
Because I know the repeat.
So Bema could repeat Bema for punishment. And they can. Okay.
Within the certain age frame now, I can.
16 years and above. 2. A B. Whoever has unnatural carnal knowledge of any person of 16 years or over with his consent is guilty of misdemeanor. Just like with more more than 16 years. When you be mujitum say more quiet unnatural sex. Sex are any natural. Any natural. Sex is your natural one.
Yeah, the one ain't natural.
What do one who boom and natural? One who ya move boss for one and a fedi. And make natural. It's as some like cano. Oko and boom skin tough remove one. When you know crime mama commit to we are saying modern honor. According to the criminal code, unnatural and tough room. Okay. My main cause also one who bears had any piano. Criminal code ne say also we could jail for being a mechanic. Any person of 16 years over is guilty of a misdemeanor, or C when aboa kwaye sex and also unnatural nipa ne aboa and sex, and also 2 ne say unnatural carnal knowledge is sexual intercourse with a person in an unnatural manner or with an animal. Entino okori we in the Trumu a unnatural. Into say bet you go to prison.
There is with her consent.
Whether with consent, without consent. Without consent in the 25 years no. With consent no a misdemeanor no a carry a lesser punishment of 3 years near there. 18 no say no. So I'm na ye can natural can near children no. It is sex in the baby and natural.
But yen show running so we are and so
what the bena obiate that say police one and nkrofo dan achi tie say ore ne he nkrofo yen de bia gay first at shemo dem na monyamade afi mpese ye wedding na be ma be gina na ye force court ne say ji omutum so omo aware na ye say yen.
Is that the case?
Like they want the right to be able to come to court and take a certificate say when you are not married.
How apply for that?
At least we are legal, then they have a permit.
But is somebody asking for that legality?
I'm saying that is what the gay people over the world, LGBT community, they are looking for.
But not in Ghana, over the world.
Over the world, Ghana can't world no.
Send me all kind of because
is there an application for that now?
No, there's not.
Has any LGBT person made any application in Ghana? Say ABI, Adia can hear Adia air Koswa and Ankophobia against, and I'm saying that what they are looking for is for them to have the right to do this and to do that and to do this.
Sorry, now I thought say you were limiting yourself to what is happening. The bill.
No, that's not what
yeah.
Oko Russia, LGBT, extremist organization. Omu classify class omu terrorists. Oko Russia, adentia. That's a Putin on the go. Some funny this kind of account.
Oh yeah.
Oh whisker. Oh ye ne mine. Atomic bomb you will be. Would you man before but 2 million you? Or so on PLGB to bear then. Ye the Emra Emran never be brave woman. To send a Socrate canon. I will see a film and Emraban ye. I didn't never amendment. Emra we are no amendments. Meboa. Mrabe bree ya amendments. It's running say a pass a bit me a pass it. You hear say a pass na baby ya.
Yes,
your best son. Ya amendment be bree. Enti 1st July na your holiday. You say you nko share the Republic Day say yen sesa na we are see dey bia. Enti bet me but just that Akuffo Addo or play games because onim nia ebesi so yes amra na zanso no nisika no or yes pelele Akuffo Addo Ghana sika no a o se nko omo de to ono ni omo de yes pelele ito omo nisika pelele like eri kaya no ni eri gi eri o ya se yes pelele ito no sika de bi ni ho ito de bia boko akwaji bro ni sika ito Akuffo Addo enye se bia sa de obi de kokot nya eye ni nyina ye trick me so me won the shoes man ni anka me ya ano no una obe science amra no ni nyina ye trick ena NDC for the year speaker so I can say obi de and also a game Ghana ni ebedru ni Ebenezer ka kire mo na nyame de ebedru ni isan say oman na ye egu no okoka na akoya team didie samra ya ye hihye ye I agree say there are so many things now we say cross dressing me oba nche be mata okoye go na Commonwealth ho omo ye omo ayi ade omo ye Vandals week o se hwan omo ye omo week de be ya omo ye emema ni na hihye mata ade oba akoti omo egu onti emra no there are so many issues but at the end of the day no samra no obe yan komo fanto say Akuffo Addo on sign Akuffo Addo on sign that we waste your time Akuffo Addo will not sign that mra no be finding a way obey opa ma nipa na de court ni nkoyi Akuffo Addo be kasa ne nsa na de be na ya you know men sign be ya me den on sign it obetumi be gina ho abaye public say na under my watch Akuffo Addo te brofutu ukoisin region ho baby ayewo baby from mofra ho yekusua kasa Akuffo Addo tama mu ye de no sisi kampe dede onimade oka mu adwen betima koto baby o otikasa ase onim o say it will not happen LGBT legalization it will not happen under his watch Akuffo Addo we legalize LGBT ehia no waka to ho say me ya president obi no be legalize LGBT okrom ha ehia wanka say obi a ni ho a obeye mra ebema LGBT ebeye illegal o wanka sa asem no ehia o say
what legal in Ghana?
LGBT is illegal.
No.
But of course
na asem no kan no.
Or say under Akuffo Addo time, Akuffo Addo anka say obi be shemre be mana ye illegal. And maybe say is illegal? If it's not illegal,
Socrate safo no catch and say Akuffo Addo say.
There be una kan or say ne time no. Obi nshem o nhwe mane meye legal
oba hane wakasa
ai
ma men kan sam na wokan ni bi nya wa ankasa wokan na me kan wa ankasa no tran ka say Akuffo Addo este what he has said ne say LGBT will not be legal under his watch anambwa anyone wokan
yes
and I say Akuffo Addo sa akasa no waka to say it will not be legal under all the Akuffo Addo ka say LGBT will not be legal under his watch no I don't want to be saying that question into Akuffo Addo no waka to say or no so your president no ye mra bi a kire say be ma betumi aware be ma ono on be ye mra ebe ma say be ma say if you ko Ghana ha be ma tumi ware be ma ne transcend ne yere Akuffo Addo say ono as president so that dey see that
under his watch
but one council say obey mra say beema ne beema ekoda obechi na kotu prison one council hasem no
so that can be a possibility
on kan to be kasa Akuffo Addo say LGBT will not be illegal under his watch na adent no sign na bill na da be no catch you say obechi obi oye LGBT atum o say on man ye legal on benye mra say beema nko ware beema Akuffo Addo nim kasa o na kasa ni nyina a politician kasa so a trick wutie ne tra adebechi no are disappointed for wutie ne to send all kano that be a small kano no mean be different also be one village one dam or chero size o two pot odi so gbo so why dam or chero size of that o kasa be sia ko so mbo to mo the politics muti asem na mutie ne tra na moko waye dam no waye one more size o ko into tokuro nso onim enye dam no waye send the politicians ne kasa no omu nim nipa na adwen to omu di wadwen ho agro LGBT asema ye kan mo maye move on nkope bibi foforo ye yen use a natural canal knowledge na yen keep e no a criminal code no mu bema kofa bema na se eye without the consent yes you be prison for this eye with the consent obeko prison for this yen je no anto ho na samra na be hye no on sign and as Akuffo Addo an sign when de be ankofo yes Akuffo Addo sign Akuffo Addo fi power enne na ochina aban fofo take over just am we lucky na be MPP for na take to aso but say aban ne sesa no be for NDC for omoba power ochina obaka bizom say na Akuffo Addo ho na mo push ne say on sign a bill no na mo be mo yen ntame say Akuffo Addo de ink bi twa ade bi mo ye hu ni ye otwa mu ye hu ewon ye hu ni ye just say the parliament no mo sign kire ho no mu on be fine away politicians are no subati e enti many of your parliament we they are the same people muma yemfa on natural can 104 ewum yenyusu enu yemfa ye adwuma sa paper no munja nto be bia da na
CNN a report March 14 2024 so headline of the reports now I'm say in deciding on anti-gay law Ghana's president is caught between a rock and a hard place. And they gave me quote in the crowd say, in a recent address to diplomats in Ghana, Akuffo Addo said that no decision will be taken on the bill until a challenge brought by a Ghanaian lawyer is heard at the country's Supreme Court. The president also made assurances that Ghana would not be turning her back on hitherto enviable long-standing record on human rights observance and attachment to the rule of law. I want to assure you that no such backsliding will be contemplated or occasioned, he said in an audio obtained by CNN. So there are a few realities. Reality number one, bill on your pass. Article 106 says president or assent before it becomes law. President say among for be a challenge bill any content bill or train masa deliberations in ye answer so then the signature be append you and I saw append or train to sign the money baby and this is a reality based on their day when Halifax actually gave details as a back and forth because between the executive and the legislative and committee media side na say parliament and the executive which is government problematic akra because over the years there's supposed to be a mutual respect, mutual coordination and mutual cooperation between these two arms of government. Tasso ba now me who find a common ground because like he rightly explained as a give and take because president say maybe or court into me holding on with my duties as a president so in assenting my the bill no speaker also say okay and yes we so court there and so me juma it's any so there should be a common ground. Now this is not the last time I checked it's about the third or second bill that president assented to because I hear there's a bill the private members bill and also president also hold you on so on tinny maybe as or train so then I heard lawyer Kofi Abuchi on Joy or not so no claim they say parliament can actually pass the bill into law even without the president assenting to it or a lawyer and all kind so yes
if they get a certain
yes so a bit me about back so for a number of years article 106 HL say after a number of days Mr. President don't find his signature and kind idea bit me about back mama sign deliberating my back saying this normal so a back and forth clearly the international community are not excited. You can actually read reports on the IMF now saying IMF defense director spoke she was not extremely happy about it. International media and they've been so commentary they call it Samia Nkrumah was interviewed a couple of days ago or say a brutal a harsh so yeah back and forth but the reality is you pass it into you pass it as a bill you train my president anything or pass it or sign and answer on sign Eddie, you're sure on Ombe. Didn't bit me. Exactly. It's a better. But, sir, President Bessan was on life goes on. We are still tackling life. It's a big task on my executive and the legislation. Do you know better mind now? They should do it and move.
MC. I think say most of the points and I'm better make a Halifax boss so now make Tisubio Kaka. You see, when last time we were talking about this LGBTQ issue, no, I spoke about the educational aspect of it. See a bit mama and conformity or mine muno.
Good.
You know, Halifax, one of the dangerous things that you can actually do is to misinform the general public. Prior to this, you know, Halifax Speaker of Parliament, one can say the news out there, first of all, is that Speaker of Parliament say, President to say on signing LGBTQ law now, and you're also on signing the approval of the minister, but that's not what actually happened. It's misinformation. Or say obi the LGBTQ assembly no courts to contest its constitutionality and other concerns. And to say who body a court as in respect to the court, no, you don't want to operate until the court is able to address the issue and come out with a resolution. Then you will move on with your duties as a president. And also Speaker of Parliament to say, me so Honorable Dafia Amegbo, Eddie Anamamboni. Dafia Mekpo. I'm very sorry.
Well, he will understand.
Or say, also the court to say, ministers majority say, who say approve, vet minority so say, was here vet Yenya ya hunti asie, and to yanso ya the court to say, court in chair near ye. And to speak also say, also out of respect of or war for court into also in Yenejuma. That is the conversation. But the communication out there is that President say on LGBTQ bill need to speaker say on sign a bill, and that is very dangerous. Mestre say ye journalists ne yenya radio so ni TV so akonya na ye kasa no. Then the least we can do
yenya radio so kwan
e kasa no. Yes ye nka akonya e wrong tree. The tree ni ebucha ne sabat. Yes. Or say like you know what's the mama yeah. Yenya radio so akonya ye kasa no me pamacho. The least we can do is to at least read and be informed. Before we go no. Communication no. You have to state the facts bare na nipanti because obi wa onya daje enko kan say dey bia yen
what about the interpretation
no the interpretation say and say so which o kan trasa obi abe making it by yen kan de onipa na ye dey aka ni yen bon common mpacho dey make notice say ye can say ye share say I feel said the cost no because we have these arms of government, the legislature, the judiciary, executive. Who they say the media crab account. Arnold mentioned that all these arms of government are supposed to work in hand. I was so obia respecting obia na yetumi ebumaino. But that's not what we see. And ultimately, this is unhealthy. At the end of the day, yena yawasi and yena ye bro. Because if we are halting some of these, is say who will approve ministers in here, so that sector no, is it functioning or not? Because in Akuffo Addo because I ministers ni na ebimo what I say. So I feel say in all these arms of government operating.
Asem na waka no waka say onu so dey na say asem no court. I don't know the only bim nka say speaker no the only bim.
Me nka say speaker you wrong na president here right.
I say o say
no me person me try say. Ya wo man mu ha. Won say obey introduction to this topic no. O can say o so obi can be so who be that say
separation of powers.
Say way they call legislature they call executive. So you who that even with e-levy. Now we're court, but they still signed the bill. What am I say? So it's me and I feel that this thing they could have had the conversation about it. Didn't even have to play in the public domain. But clearly, what's nature? We emotions aside, and you look at it, both parties are playing politics. What am I say? if you put emotions aside now, Osha, it's not like executive is right and legislature is wrong. What am I say? When him the ope, when him say me police string where you na menya, so they all know what they are doing. It's not like someone is for and someone is like, they are all in the known. And at the end of the day, no, yenya yetiasi and yenye bebre. And this is not healthy. See, this whole idea ye bunakwa say our rear intawan tawa beba, but intawan uchima, then it becomes problematic. What am I say? So, in my humble opinion, no, I feel like they na obianye na juma senye fata ni enkoye nim. I think we are spending way too much time on this LGBTQ and blah 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 blah. And I mean, where are we going as a country?
Yo, you better tell yourself what I say. You better Rahul's pharmaceutical producers of High Lady Virgin Wash and High Lady Mixture.
My never say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.